to insert a disk into their computer and close the door, and we would hear people get up and close the door to their office. And so, okay, welcome everyone to the uh, May 13th, 2026 Dover Conservation Commission hearing. This meeting is per the Governor's Act, will be held remotely pursuant to Mass Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends to June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote manner, which is what we are doing tonight. And we have a quorum, and so we will call to order and run through the roll. Anna Nagy?
Here.
Okay. Amy Moot?
Here.
Sarah Monaco?
Here.
Tim Hollander?
Here.
And I am here, John Sullivan. Next is a request for any public comments for anyone who is not on this evening's agenda. Is there anybody who has who's sitting in who has anything, any questions for us? Hearing none, we'll proceed with this evening's agenda. And the first thing up is the review, possible approval of Hale Reservation conservation restrictions. Janet, why don't you give us the lay of the land there?
So I really was not involved in this. We were requested. Okay. The Concom's role here only. The grantor, the landholder, is Hale. The CR is going to the trustees, and the Conservation Commission generally approves the CR and provides a municipal certification and recommends approval to Board of Selectmen, and then it goes to the state. So our role here is really procedural only.
Okie doke. So that given that DA Hayden from the trustees of the reservation, would you like to introduce us to the parties for this evening?
Thank you, John. First, I have to say, this is such an exciting moment for everyone on this Zoom because we have been working on this project for many years. And I am personally, and speaking for the trustees, so grateful for all the support that we've had with this group and many others. With us this evening is, on the trustee side, is Jennifer Dubois. Jennifer is our Vice President of Land Conservation. Rob Warren, who I think everybody knows. Rob has been our consultant on this project from the get-go, and Rob formerly ran land conservation for the trustees. I'm the Regional Vice President for the trustees, and these properties fall into my area. We also have with us Aaron Morehouse. Aaron is the Executive Director of Hale. And what we were hoping we could do, John, with your permission, is Aaron wanted to just share a couple of thoughts for a minute, and then we can move to Rob, who can explain a little bit about the CRs, and then we can take questions and go from there, if that works for you.
That sounds like a plan.
Great.
So welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, and John and to the whole commission, just reiterating that thanks and that gratitude to the commission, to the Dover community, to our partners at the trustees. The long-standing collaboration, long before I ever got here to Hale, is the reason why we're all here. And so extremely grateful for the partnership. Dover already sets the standard for land stewardship for towns across the Commonwealth to aspire to. For many decades, Hale has had the vision of truly protecting its land, and we're at that moment. It's a milestone. It's not a transaction. This is a generational achievement. Protecting this 1,100 acres ensures that Hale remains and will be the largest privately owned and publicly accessible conservation space in Greater Boston. And we have been, by de facto and ownership, protecting this land for the 108 years of service that we've had here for outdoor education and recreation, and really just transformative education and experiences here. So this really does help to ensconce nature for all. It's a permanent reality for tens of thousands of folks that use and enjoy Hale each year. We had 16,000 participants in our programs this last year and served 189 schools and community-based organizations from across the region. So this is, and this also, though, supports our local communities. It guarantees Dover residents that extended backyard and trails and open space forever. Vital wellness benefits that it provides, education and employment for local students through our schools and our camps, or for our schools and our camps. And of course, it protects the biodiversity, regional watersheds, and directly supports all our common environmental and climate goals. So it's a huge win-win all the way across for everyone involved. We're super excited about it, and I will pass it off to Rob Warren at the trustees. I also see Greg Freed is here. Sorry, Greg is with the Hale team. He's our director of marketing and communications. But Rob, you want to take it away?
Great. Thank you. Yeah. It is an amazing moment. And so we're very appreciative of this commission's making yourselves available for this conversation. I think that many folks are quite familiar with the CR. I'm not, so I'm going to do a quick overview and get to questions expeditiously. But if I don't go deep enough, please just say, and we can dig a little deeper before we get into questions. But so we are talking actually about two conservation restrictions, both on land currently owned by Hale that will remain owned by Hale for the foreseeable future. And both conservation restrictions are being granted to the trustees. So for those of you who've been tracking the project for a long time, we started thinking that of the smaller portion of this at 137 acres, roughly, might have a different ownership pattern at the time this all transpired. That's not how we're going forward, but we're sticking with the structure of having two conservation restrictions on adjacent parcels. So very broadly, conservation restriction is a way to permanently protect land without changing the ownership of it, the fundamental ownership of it. So Hale will remain the owner of all this land. They will continue to be the manager of the property and responsible for all the things that landowners are responsible for. However, they will be constrained in perpetuity by the terms of these conservation restrictions in terms of what can happen on that land. So this is something they're entering into voluntarily. I won't speak for Aaron, but it's been great working with Hale, an organization that clearly sees it as part of their mission to get this conservation accomplished. So let me pop up a map. I probably need permission to share screen. Is that doable, or should I quickly email this to someone?
Nope, should be, let me just check for sharing. Let's see. Oh, great, they've changed.
So why don't let me quickly
why don't you give it a try and see if it comes up?
I actually am not finding a share screen button. I think because of the way this is set up. So
yeah, we had been set up, and now it looks like they're at least on my computer, I haven't used it for a few weeks. They've updated their program.
I'm seeing share. And I
just
can share. Do you want to send it to me, Rob? And I'll.
No, here we go. You're
all right.
Yep. Okay.
Something. Okay. So let me know if this is coming through.
Says yep. There you go.
Fantastic technology. Thank you, whoever did some magic behind the screen there.
There's a little lag.
So the map here, is my cursor also showing up usably? Okay.
Yeah.
So everything in pink here is the land that is owned by Hale that will be going under the conservation restrictions, plural. One of the conservation restrictions is this area that's crosshatched in red. So that is 1 CR on 136 acres. That's a very restrictive CR. It has no provisions for buildings. There are no buildings on it currently. It's really about, managing the woods and managing the trails that exist there and provisions for adding trails if that seems to be the right thing in the future. The one sort of other use of the land that's provided for in the CR is the possibility of creating a parking area for public use along the road frontage here. So we have included this provision just anticipating that, years down the road, if there is a circumstance where the public does not have sufficient parking, we wanted to reserve a right for that to be done. It would still need to go through Dover's quite stringent zoning stipulations around parking. So we just wanted to keep that door open and not close it permanently through the CR. The larger CR at 972.5 acres is the pink unhatched land. And this is the main holding of, and includes really what folks think of as the Hale installation here, if you will. You'll see two different hatched areas, the one with a blue hatching going this way and some with a purple hatching going upper left to lower right. So those, the ones with the blue hatching, those are the only areas within the entire property that any future building will be allowed in. It represents 218 acres out of the 970 plus. And of course, they cannot be terribly densely built. We also cap the square footage of buildings that can be added here. The other areas with the purple crosshatching running the opposite way, those are small areas where there are existing buildings that can be fixed and maintained. They can be made a little bit larger, but there cannot be new construction in those zones. So it is really these cross-hatched areas, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's a very small one I want to point out here, which is really just to maintain a trailhead parking that exists there now. But we didn't, that it just within the structure of the CR, that's how it worked best to do that. I'm going on longer than I want, so I want to get to questions. I think that's really most of what I wanted to say. The terms are very much as they were during all the public information meetings that trustees and Hale did a while back. Things have not really changed that dramatically. We've worked through a lot of organizational issues, and so I think I will leave it there and put it to you, Mr. Chairman, for any questions that you and the commission may have.
Mm-hmm. Any questions on the part of commissioners or Janet?
I had a couple questions. The first under permitted activities, number 11, forest management. I'm wondering if there are you doing any forest management, active forest management activities now in Hale? And then it also references if there should be forest management activities, that a forest stewardship plan would need to be submitted to the grantee and to DCR. So the first question is, are there forest activities now in the Dover area? Do you foresee forest activities, and is there a forest stewardship plan now?
Rob, I can answer that.
Yeah, but Janet, can I just clarify? You are in the CR for the smaller property, I believe, correct?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
So we're speaking of just the smaller CR?
Yeah.
There's no active forest management that's happening or forestry activity that's happening in that area. There's not an active stewardship plan at this point. These are all steps too, though, that we'll be exploring, from stewardship planning to recreational trail management plans, all within the confines of the conservation restriction as we're going forward. So really, those plans depend on the restrictions of the CR. So, but no active work happening in that area. We did have we have a new building that's going in within one of the primary program areas that's been approved by the town of Dover. And there were some trees that were removed in that area for that build site that were approved during that process. And then along the road that we have that runs through that primary program area, we have done some management of trees, but that's more for power line management and roadside management. But that's all that we have going on right now.
And
So
I'll just
forest-
add to that, Janet, that
Mhm.
the CR for the larger property does not have a similar forestry provision. It allows for some cordwood cutting and use of trees that are removed ancillary to future buildings and things like that. But it doesn't have a general. We're trying to keep the larger property out in the outer areas in just a more general natural condition.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. And then I want to thank both Hale and trustees for all your work. This is really, a huge achievement. So thank you so much. Procedurally, usually the commission outlines the public benefits in a one-page document, and then signs that. That's the municipal certification. And are you looking for that document for both CRs?
Yes, I think the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, they have separate tracking numbers for each CR, so I think they will want to see. It could be a single action if that's what the commission is ready to do tonight, a single vote, but it would be great to get two forms.
Okay. So there was I don't know if it was Aaron sent us or Rob, if you sent it to us, but there are
Yes.
two different certification forms. One is sort of blank, and the other one incorporates pretty much what Janet was referring to, which outlines that what it's doing. Janet, have you seen those?
I didn't see those as attached to the CRs. There was a form.
No, it came rather late today, Janet, so I apologize for that.
Okay, very well.
But yes.
So I think what we can do is that may suffice, but that's a little quick notice for us. Jen, it seems to me that one of the we can address in the meeting some of the things that this does to protection and ties in with the items you were just mentioning, and then vote to submit a certification letter to be sent to the selectmen. Is that seem like a likely way to go?
Yes, so I think a formal vote in support of each CR would be appropriate, and then we would follow up with that municipal certification, and then just a cover letter to the selectmen recommending their approval.
Okay, so a good place to start would be when you have a chance is to review what was sent over today, and and then to anything that you may want to add to that. Before we go, I did have a question about the blue hashed area there in terms of things that could be built. Do you have an idea of what the square footage limitation was for that location?
So yes, throughout what are called the primary program areas in the document, which is the blue hatching running this way. There's two phases to allow development. All these numbers include all the buildings that exist today. We're not talking about simply what can be added the way we work with conservation restrictions is the total allowance. If some of that exists, so be it. But we don't want to be measuring what used to be there versus what's new. So we measure everything as one. So between now and the end of calendar year 2027, the maximum square footage that can exist within those areas is 190,000 square feet. And then beyond that, that cap goes up to 400,000 square feet on into eternity. It never exceeds that number. Square footage today, I should have that at hand. I knew it last time we were doing these meetings. It's over 100,000, but not by a lot, is my understanding.
And I note this was a concern. I think it was both in Dover and Westwood at some point. So the additional, call it 200,000 square feet above what you currently have. Do you have some examples of what that might incorporate?
We at this time we do not. I mean, except for what it can incorporate, which is defined in the CR, which is it includes all square footage of the buildings, any exterior porches, any impervious surfaces that are added, including parking lots. So it's not just building space. As far as what Hale will build within that allotted amount of space, Hale will, excuse me, will be entering into a multi-year master plan for what the campus will look like over a 10-year period. But that process hasn't begun. But that will be a process that we hope to start as the CR is completed.
And is the thought being that would be educational buildings, or is there?
Yeah, it's
I mean, one of the, is when things aren't well defined, then rumors jump up.
Sure.
And so the don't know if a Marriott's going in there, or these are the things I was hearing, which seemed doubtful given the ledge and so forth. But so it would, do you have any way to expound on what some of those things might be?
I'd say that we take great pride in the fact that we have if folks know Jim Early as the director prior to Eric Arnold, Jim Early's son Matt joined our board, and as he walked the land and drives up the road, one of the great things that I feel pride in, I think we feel pride in, is that the character of the place hasn't changed. And that's really what we look for as we go into this master plan. Really improving what we have is the primary focus, really ensuring that we're taking care of what we have, restoring what we have. New structures and what those might look like, that will all come from a process that will be community involved and involved with the community engaged at Hale. But the primary focus is education and camps and those aspects of outdoor recreation and outdoor learning that really makes it the living classroom that it is. That's the main focus for any building or any structure that we're looking at.
If I could add a little, from the perspective of the conservation restriction holder, I can tell you some things that it does not allow. It does not allow a Marriott. It does not allow commercial enterprise of that kind. It does not allow, it allows for residential use for employees of the owner, but it does not provide for general, residential rental units or residential units that could be carved off. House lots cannot be carved off from this property after the CR is in place. So we have worked, it's much easier to say what you cannot do than what you can do, because you risk leaving something out. And so I think looking at the terms of the CR, you'll see good constraints on what can be done there. There are also limits on the size of any individual building. There's a single building that can be up to 45,000 square feet. 2 buildings at 25,000. Everything else has to be under 20,000 square feet, and which is still a large building, and many of them will be much, much smaller than that. But if you're building a big dining hall that has an apartment for, a key staff member, it's going to have to be a sizable structure.
Is there potential for dorm rooms or?
Certainly for places for campers and staff to stay over on site. Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, anyone have anything else they'd like to add? Great. Let's see. I would entertain, excuse me, just a minute. I would entertain a motion. We can take the plan off. Thank you.
Sorry. Yep.
No apology necessary. Entertain a motion to what's the word we want to use? To
recommend.
Support.
I think we recommend the adoption to the select board
of the conservation restriction for, and if we can get parcel numbers or how they're referenced, and to send that to the selectman's office.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. So can somebody from Hale or trustees give us one of your parcel numbers, please? Or however you refer to these.
Maybe it's the state CR number, maybe.
Is that what you'd rather do?
Well,
I think
there's lots of
something-
parcels.
Yeah, there are
well,
many,
no,
many
not the,
parcels.
the
There's 7
state CR
well-
numbers would probably be the ones that would glide through more easily. So,
The Westwood Dover CR, the larger CR, Rob, I think is CR 17494.
okay.
Does that sound correct to you?
It's 17494 Westwood Dover. And the other one is 174.
Well, why don't we stop there?
Yep.
Why don't we incorporate that 17494, was it?
Yes.
Into Dover Westwood parcel, into our first recommendation letter to the selectmen. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Sarah
Okay,
seconded.
Okay, all in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. And then the second number is?
Yep. 17493 Dover.
Okay.
That's for the
And-
smaller one.
Okay, and Tim, if you want to continue with that.
Sure. You're gonna have to say that again.
But 17493 Dover.
Correct.
Yes. Move to recommend the adoption of the CR for 17493 Dover to the select board.
Thank you.
I
Do I hear
second
a
it.
second? Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Congratulations, everyone, on all the hard work and multiple years involved here.
Thank you
And
so much for keeping
congratulations.
us on our way.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Thank
Okay.
you. all.
And thank you. No, thank you for
Okay.
doing all this.
And I
It
can
only
assure
took
you
10
that
years.
Yeah, really.
Here we are.
I first
back
met
when
with Steve Sloan and Eric about this in 2016.
Oh,
no one
it's
had
a
gray
project
hair.
worth working 10 years for. So
It is
congratulations.
very much worth it.
Mhm. So,
and I can assure everyone that the select board will accept it with aplomb.
okay, we'll hold you to
Thank you,
that, Ken.
Cam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
Okay.
again.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
all.
everyone.
All right, you all
Good
take
job.
care.
Okay. Next up, we have Chris Verney, and 15 Old Farm Road with a RDA to confirm wetlands delineation. Jenna, why don't you fill us in?
So this is a request for determination. It's a proactive request in that the work that's being proposed is outside the buffer zone, but the owner wanted clarification and documentation on that. So I did do a site visit with the property owner, Chris Verney. I reviewed the wetland flagging and the DEP BVW data forms. So I did confirm the wetland delineation in the field. And the closest amount of work, the work that's being proposed is some minor hardscaping, a small driveway expansion of 280 square feet, and extensive landscaping. All of it is located outside the 100-foot buffer zone. The only documentation that we didn't have, and we have now received it, was the abutter notification confirmation. So the entire application is complete, and I would recommend the issuance of a negative determination of ability with the two findings outlined in my report. The first is that the wetland delineation has been confirmed in the field. And then the second is that all work proposed in the RDA is confirmed to be outside the 100-foot buffer zone, and no further review or approval by the commission is required.
Okey-doke. So I'm just trying to, I see that Gretchen is on.
Yes,
If is Chris's property next
above
to?
me.
It's
Yes,
above you. Is it,
yes.
so is there an intermediate property between the two of you?
No, there isn't. And I
Okay,
think
so you're
my
right.
own, yeah, I'm right next door.
Okay.
Yeah. And I
And,
mean, I definitely get a large, runoff of flow, pretty big velocity of flow runoff during storms. And I think the only reason I'm here is to see if, they're going to take any opportunity while they do this to mitigate the current runoff and to also ensure that it will not add additional velocity or volume of runoff onto the property.
And Chris, does your I'm trying to just, I haven't pulled the map up of this. Was there a plan submitted with this, Janet?
Yes.
Okay.
John, this is Debbie. I'm
Oh,
representing
okay,
the owner
oh.
as well.
So does Chris's, does this have a pool associated with it, or is that the neighboring property to beyond?
No pool. It's just, some steps and landscape planting, essentially, along with the driveway expansion.
Okay, all outside of the buffer there. So Gretchen, my sense when we've been out there before that the concern about runoff actually seems to come across Chris's property as well from
Correct.
higher up.
Yes, correct.
Is that correct? And
Yes.
Chris, do you have any thoughts on the way the water flows from the property adjacent to yours and whether there's it affects your property in a negative way?
Yes, hi, Sean. Sorry I can't be on video. I'm on CarPlay right now. But yeah, I mean the way the project's intended and is confirmed by the delineation is that all the work's outside the buffer zone. And really, while the work's extensive, it's really kind of replacing existing landscaping plantings with new landscaping plantings that are all kind of around my immediate foundation. So, to your recollection, and I'm sure Gretchen's as well, we were all present maybe 5 or 6 years ago with the neighbor to my right when he was looking to put in a pool fence, and there was a site visit then, and we discussed runoff, which, to recollections, there's been runoff. It was kind of exacerbated when that property to the right of me was built and nothing came of it, right? And and the work that's proposed now, I'm not an engineer, but I think given that we're not going to do any work in the buffer zone, should really, not make it better and not make it any worse, right? So it's really should be a net zero.
In the net hardscaping that you're doing outside the buffer is similar to what currently exists, except for the driveway extension.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the call it expansion is probably even an overstatement. Like we're just kind of bumping out a couple feet and not even the whole portion of the driveway, just the part around the garage just to help with the turning radius. And that's, as you can see the delineation, that's kind of the furthest part away from the buffer zone. And on the other hardscaping, we're replacing the front walk and the front steps on the front of the house. So, I mean, it's going to have the same general shape, you know, I mean, that's even further from the buffer zone, right?
So basically, you're documenting your wetland line, you know, as is currently, so that there's no issue in that
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. Yeah, I want to make sure there's no creep over the years. I appreciate there's no other conditions on my property when I bought it, which is now long expired. So, you know, I just wanted to make sure everything was above boards, you know, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this seems, Gretchen, just from our familiarity with things, this seems de minimis and is not
Yeah.
going to be something that
Seems
affects you.
benign. Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Chris.
Okay.
Yep.
So
You're
okay, and given Janet's recommendation, I'll entertain a motion to issue a negative determination about applicability with the findings that she outlined in her regulatory report.
Sure. Move to issue a negative determination of applicability for the delineation shown on the submitted site plan.
I second.
Well, also and that
Oh.
all proposed work outlined is outside the wetlands buffer.
Okay.
Okay, and then second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, thanks
Thank
much,
you.
Chris.
Night.
great. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Next up, we have 31 Springdale, enforcement order compliance. I guess there's been some news on that. Janet, why don't you fill us in?
So, as you recall, we discussed at our March meeting, we did receive the existing conditions site plan. And the next step was to have a revised restoration plan based on input from Paul McManus, who's our third-party review on this. So I reached out to Will Mitchell, the owner, and Paul McManus indicated he had not received anything new. I've been in contact with Will, and he has now engaged Goddard to come back and finish a draft restoration plan. So his hope is to have that probably for our meeting in June. I said we really need to have that at least a week before a meeting so Paul can adequately review it and the commission can discuss it. So he's thinking he could have it before our next meeting, but he said that's unlikely. So they have all the information that Paul was looking for a revised plan. So the hope is that they will come back with something that's almost complete. He also indicated that he had met Amy on site to review the encroachment onto DLCT land. And Amy, if this isn't correct, let me know. But I think with your DLCT hat on is that we would do a restoration plan review and approval for all the work that was done, including the DCLT land. But you would need to bring that to your board, probably for their review and approval, once we've reviewed it in draft form.
Yeah, I think I would like to bring it to the board. We don't meet over the summer, but we can get an email vote. There was, when I walked it with him, it was super apparent that the previous owners had done a lot of filling, and so would look to you and Paul to determine the best way to deal with that. Will's perfectly happy to move his fence, but that's that's a minor thing. It's there's up to 4 feet of fill there. So
Janet and I were out on a site visit a few months ago, and maybe even a little bit less. And one of the thoughts would be that from the lot line to, and we'll discuss this obviously with Paul McManus, would be to slope it as opposed to just cutting it all out, because that may create its own issues. But so just a thought.
Yeah, no, I would look to Paul's expertise and how to best deal with that to provide the best outcome for the wetlands. Obviously, the way it is, it's created a pretty large area of upland, or at least non-absorbing floodplain there, and that's part of the Charles River Valley Natural Storage Area, Trout Brook floodplain. So just like to see the maximum amount of restoration that is not going to create further problems in the long run.
I'm with that. I think obviously we have to look to Paul. This is enough of a mess that we need real technical advice here. It's been such a slow project and slow problem. I feel like it's lost some of its intensity, but it's a huge problem, and we can't, just because it's been slow, I don't think we should kind of let it go. So I think we should, obviously see what Paul has to say, but if we were doing this faster, we would feel probably more intense about it, and would be correct.
But keep in mind, one of the issues at hand is it was filled quite a while ago, prior to this owner is trying to figure out what the actual elevations were, that were changed. But there are some benchmarks to the rear where some things can be gleaned.
Well, even from the side, if you look at the septic plan, it's pretty clear what.
So do you think?
Yeah, that's what Paul's for.
So you think the septic was this, which was done maybe 12 years ago or so? Was that? Do you think the level of fill that is there currently going over the lot line may not have been there prior to the septic plan?
I'm guessing that's possible.
So
I don't know. I would look to Paul to determine.
Yeah, no,
this is a Paul thing. It's also
I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing, looking at the septic plan and the lot line is 4 feet higher than just a short distance away. It really already slopes off quite a lot. I mean, it goes out for a while and then it slopes off, but
then it drops.
But it's
we'll let Paul do some of the research on this. Right at the moment, the biggest what may be a movement forward here is by getting Goddard back in. I guess they came to an agreement on spending that hopefully we'll be able to finally get some lot lines and finish up the restoration proposal there.
Looking at what Paul was able to do at 43 Strawberry Hill in determining, that pond is much older than the septic system at 31. So I'm guessing that he has ways of figuring this stuff out that I wouldn't even be able to guess at.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks, Janet, for that updating there. Let's see. For at that point, we're moving over to discussion of housekeeping things. So, land management work group update for Anna.
Yeah, so a couple things. First, our bog bridge on the beach trail went in. I've got some photos. So let me share that window. Great. So this is the beach trail in Wildwoods. If you sort of go up the Blue Trail from Center Street, I don't know, it's 3/4 of a mile. Eventually, this is the stream, kind of looking downstream. You can see where the bank has gotten a bit beaten up, but in general, it wasn't looking too terrible. It was muddy on the edge, but wasn't looking too terrible. Rick, Greg, and I, so Greg did all the work of getting the bridge sections out to the stream. Then Rick, Greg, and I for one morning, and then Rick and Greg for another went in and put in the bridge, and we're pretty happy. There's an email thread to move it around from where we'd initially planned it. So I think we ended up with a good spot. So that's before bridge install, and then there it is.
Oh,
Yep.
And how wide
And
is
there's
that?
my dog.
Ah,
Let's see,
At 4
two 8-foot sections, longer, 2 8-foot sections joined in the middle here.
No. The width of this.
3 feet.
3 feet. Sweet.
And then a wide photo of Greg standing kind of awkwardly, but there we are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's it.
And is this sitting on the drainage?
Yeah, in the middle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great.
Took some Tetris to try and figure out how we were gonna not block the stream with the drainage pipe, which was more confusing than we were expecting. So that's all set. We were pretty excited about that. Let's see, and we met with Bill to talk about goals and regulations as well. So I think, I don't know, Jan, if you circulated this, but we had some suggestions for updates to our regulations for town conservation land. So we've got, that's been underway. And then we also have another meeting with Bill to talk more about this on Friday. And I think to plan the stakeholders meeting. Janet, do you know if we have a date for that? I forgot if we scheduled it already.
We don't. We still have to finish up the questionnaire we were going to send out in advance.
Okay.
So I think we're going to try to wrap that up on Friday.
Right.
Yeah. And so one of the components of this land management plan is.
Can you speak a little closer, Janet?
Sure. So one of the components is our general rules and regulations for our conservation land. So back when I joined the commission, we did approve these rules and regs, which were very similar to what our rules and regs were in Wellesley. I brought those over. So these were approved. We had the 14 different rules and regs. We also, the commission also did approve these in our Springdale Meadows land management plan, but I thought it would be worth it for us to briefly review these just to make sure people are still comfortable. Do they want to see any changes? And we don't have to wrap this up tonight, but I don't know if commission members had a chance to review those. And if people had any thoughts about any changes. These are pretty basic rules and regs.
When did you send those out, Janet?
Actually, it was in my regulatory review report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I recall land management, we recommended adding an equestrian right of way and like clarifying the hunting regulation, because it sounds like hunting is never regulated. It's actually sometimes is allowed with permits. So we mostly wanted to just kind of straighten up what people are currently doing.
So has anyone had a chance to review this? Okay, so something if you pull it up, it's relatively simple, but I think it may be better moved to the next meeting so that people have a chance to review it and become familiar with it. Janet, do you recall, are there any significant changes on these from what we had previously, or did we not? Did these do all these address things that were not addressed in previous regulations?
No, this is what the commission approved back in 2016, and there haven't been any changes.
Okay, and do you recall? So were you on the board in 2016?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, because I think, for example, firearms and trapping being prohibited, but then hunting is permitted. So would we want to clarify that that's non-firearm hunting, or?
That was what we were thinking. Or to just pin it to what the regulations are and say like hunting is prohibited, is allowed based on what permits already are required, and not like have our own thing.
Didn't we have? Well, I
Do
thought
you
we
want to
had.
cite the Board of Health,
Yeah, it could work.
the Board of Health program?
Oh, for the deer removal program, you mean, or just in
Right.
general?
I mean, that would be the only hunting that would be allowed
Mhm.
is people who are permitted
Well, that's what I was saying. So
under the Board of Health.
they're right. They have their own permit process. There's no reason for us to
Right.
deviate that.
And we
Okay.
and they we release, we tell them which lands they can assign to hunters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So so why don't
And
we
might not choose to assign some of the more frequented
right.
lands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Board of Health has some pretty restrictive hours of when you can do that,
Yeah.
which tend to
There
align.
weren't originally.
I don't think
but-
they have. No, it's the state says you can't.
It's just the
hunt
blue
on
laws,
Sunday.
yeah.
There are, yes, and Sunday is not allowed, and
I thought Board of Health had some things such
And
as
it's half an hour before dawn and
Well,
half an
the-
hour
the-
after dawn.
the
after
first-
dawn.
right, and
whatever it is, 5 or 6 years when I was on the line
Mhm.
committee.
But they didn't it a half an hour before dawn, but didn't it stop at a relatively early morning?
No, I don't think so.
So I
Well,
wonder whether that's
nobody
maybe something.
wants to hunt after
Right.
a
Yeah.
certain amount of time because the deer aren't out.
Yeah, they
My deer come up to my garden in the time that no one wants to hunt. So it's
Well,
but
well, you should
it's
sit in your
And
front
same with my
garden and
turkeys. Same with my turkeys. My turkeys.
so you can sit
Turkeys are
out there with
different.
your bow and hit them. Yeah.
That's true. I guess we could. So, yeah. So I think if I'm open to some discussion on this, but I just wonder if it might be better served when people have a chance to review this, jot down some
fine.
questions, and move this to our next meeting.
I agree.
It's fine.
So,
Last thing is for Earth Day cleanup. Zyga, me, and one volunteer were out removing mostly bittersweet and multiflora rose. So it was a undertaking at the Bridge Street boat launch, and it looks pretty good. I was pretty proud of it. So we'll see how it looks, and maybe go out and do more if I have time. It was remarkably fun in its own way. I had my mini chainsaw. It was great.
Did you take before and after pictures?
I took a before photo in March, and I have an after photo. I will email that out. But the leaves weren't out, so it didn't look all that different.
Yeah, no, it's much easier when the leaves aren't out.
Yeah.
To attack it. So great, thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
Let's see. Based on that, let's see. Is there anything? Just looking at our agenda here. Oh, okay. So then, thank you, Anna. Next up would be discussion of potential land encroachments on conservation restriction compliance. So we've talked about 165 Center Street and the Vista. Sarah, were you going to contact them, or can we refresh that and make sure we move forward on that now that the spring is in flow? Or were you
Deb,
or were you just
Deb
or were you just saying that you knew them?
sent a letter.
Mhm.
And I don't know, have you heard anything from them?
So Deb, you did indeed send the letter?
Yeah, and she CC'd all of us. It was
Okay.
about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And this is for 165.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so the closing hasn't actually take place.
Is
No,
that
no,
one-
I think,
that's
no.
one. That's
Oh,
157.
120. Okay, 157. So sorry.
Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
so 165 is Paul
Yep.
Gaynors.
Yeah, right.
And you wrote a very lovely letter.
Good. And you
And
want
that-
me to follow up, or do we
Yeah, I think.
customarily wait a bit?
Well, we've given them what, 2 to 3 weeks so far.
Yeah, it's been about 2.
But
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna jump in here. I think, Deb, you sent that out as a draft letter to everyone.
I
and
did,
asked
and
for
I didn't get any comments. So is it perfect?
Oh,
But it,
so we were waiting for us to.
but it's been sent out, and it was a draft of a draft of a draft. We've gone through
Right.
that
Yeah,
several
we had
times.
gone down that trail a few times.
Okay. So I don't recall it, but from back then, but did it specifically bring to their attention that plantings may have happened, that they may have done plantings along the streetscape there?
Yes.
Okay.
She was very clear in it, and it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was
And
very
was that-
friendly, and just like this is a reminder that this is a conservation restriction and that you're on a scenic road, blah blah blah.
Okay. So was that sent regular mail, or was it
It
right
was,
after?
it was regular.
Okay. Why don't we give it 2 more weeks, and then if we don't hear anything, send out a registered version of that with a request to contact us.
Okay.
Then on 2 Hunt Drive, my question on that, if people recall, Amy had brought this to our attention, I believe. I don't know if we would require a survey or what's on that in order to be able to illustrate that clearly, or does anyone have anything? Right now I think we're looking at Mass Mapper. I just don't. Amy, do you recall was it close to the Mass Mapper line, or is it really not a close thing at all?
I don't remember. I can pull it back up again.
Yeah, this is that shed, I guess it is.
John, my notes from our last meeting on this is that you said you were going to research the office files to see if there was a surveyed plan.
Okay. I did not do that because the office has recently moved. If anyone has been involved, has seen that. So the
It was
office is
very
now
weird.
Yeah, it is a little different. So the office is now across the hallway from there, and still in a state of it's
I
an
think
in-between.
there isn't any building on it. It's just that they're clearing into our land quite significantly, and it appears that their parking turnaround or extra parking spaces,
Coming off the driveway there.
asphalt comes all the way to the line if Mass Mapper's correct. Now,
Right.
I do know that our town tax maps are not perfect. So,
Was there a shed up in the front towards Center Street that was also possibly on our property?
there's a shed that looks like it's on, let me see. No, the shed looks like it's on their land.
Oh, okay.
They own a little triangle at the back, and the shed is sort of partly on that. I think maybe there were some, I think some beehives and things.
Oh, okay.
I think
I
that
see.
was what we
Actually,
saw.
yeah, it looks like the shed may be. Actually, let me see on that triangle there.
The triangle is theirs.
Is theirs. Okay, so it's not us. Okay, there we go. Okay, so the main thing is we're dealing with the potential
Well, they're
encroachment.
they're clearing behind their parking turnaround, and they're also clearing the backfield a lot. And it looks like they might have a fence in the backfield.
Oh, coming across at the slight oblique angle there.
It's difficult to say, but the edging looks quite like a fence to me.
Okay. Okay, then I will look that up.
Do you want me to share screen so you can see it, or you?
No, I have it. I pulled it up.
Pulled it up. Okay.
So, but my question on that is, I don't know if we would have a plan on that because I don't see any wetland area that they may have come in front of us for. But we'll take a look.
No, I don't think It's more whether or not we might have, we probably have the plan that the deed, the parcel that we got given.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will look into
It
that.
looks like 1973, so don't hold your
Okay.
breath.
Right. Well, I'll check the registry as well and see when that house, I think that house may have been built around there. Okay.
Let's see, it says, I think in the, they bought the property in 21. The house was built in 83.
Okay. So we'll see what we can find on that. And I will take that upon myself to do that. Okay. Any other potential encroachment that that any commissioners are aware of? Okay. And then next up, we have a review and approval of conservation agents' February, March, and April invoices. Did people have a chance to open those up and take a look at them? Okay, so they're fairly consistent in terms of the amounts. Janet did not submit them to us monthly because at that point we're waiting for town meeting and we basically had run out of money or Deb can give me an update on that. And then we had put the town on notice, I believe, with Chris about these would be coming and that we'd be looking for a transfer of funds like we have in the last few years. I don't know if anybody was at I know several of you were at the town meeting. And interesting enough, even though we've gone through multiple hearings where we were requesting the additional funds for next year to bring us our agent total up to $122,000. Somebody put a hold on it, and which I frankly wasn't expecting because we brought it up at the warrant committee and we brought it up on a number of other meetings. However, I went up to address that, and as you all know, we were aware of that, and we're viewing that as being more transparent. We've been transferring these funds for at least 3 years now at the end of each quarter of the fourth quarter of each fiscal year because the amount that we've been approved for, we kept optimistically hoping that we would be able to hit that number and we wouldn't. So I gave that explanation. It's an explanation Cam has heard from us before. I seem to, from what I recall, the audience nodded in agreement, and that was it. No one else brought up any additional questions on that. However,
yes, and I think it was the right thing to do, John.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's good to know your feedback because I'm just up there. I was completely winging it, not completely since I discussed it before, but I was not expecting to go up to talk to it. But
a lot of the residents don't actually listen to warrant committee meetings or other meetings, and so that's why you get these holds. They just want to know what it is, and I think it was the right thing to do, and I appreciate the transparency myself.
Well, and John, you did a great job.
Oh, thank you.
It was
answered the person's question. It was good.
Right.
Well, it's funny because I walked by the person because I didn't recognize him, and because he had mentioned a percentage, like 80 some odd percent, 87%. And I walked by and I said just quickly, I said, "So can you help me out on my way up here? How'd you come up with these numbers? Because the math isn't mathing." And so we came up with a couple numbers, and they still didn't add up to that. And but I wasn't going to focus on that. I just wanted to, focus on the transparency, which now brings us up to. So we have Janet's invoices here. Janet, what's the total of these 3 invoices? Do you happen to have that number?
I can do that right now.
Okay.
But I think it's probably be good to approve each one separately, but I can.
Well, I'm not there. I
Okay.
just wanted to bring up some of this
Okay.
on a global basis, and
Okay.
then we'll come back to that. I think we're probably around 38,000 or so. So we'll just wait as Janet adds that up.
37,825.
Okay. Okay. And so that basically 37,825. Oops. Is being added to the 88,000 that was originally in our budget. Is that correct?
That's right. We've depleted what was in the budget. Yeah.
Right. So that puts us at, and this takes us through April's invoice, so leaving us 2 additional invoices
That's right.
for the year. Okay. And then you were what I haven't seen, I just haven't seen on these numbers added up. So then if we in addition to that transfer to cover that amount, you were also looking, it makes prudent sense to ask for the entire transfer. You were estimating that, were you estimating similar run rates for May and June?
Yeah, I think it's prudent to do that.
Okay. So what was the additional for each month for what's the ask there?
So the total ask in the draft memo I sent out for
Yeah.
the reserve fund transfer was 62,500.
500.
Which I think is probably on the higher end, but
so if we're with these invoices here, it takes us to 125. Okay, so I got it. So 88 plus 62.5 puts us at an overall year total of 150,500. Okay.
Right, and that begs the question, will what we just asked for and got at town meeting be sufficient? And I am going to, well, first of all, we had talked about having Paul take on responsibility for most enforcement matters, and I think that will help. And then I'm going to, really start thinking about what else can be perhaps delegated. And also OpenGov, we're working out some bugs with OpenGov, and I'm getting almost every permit every department is issued to review, including like building department electrical permits and plumbing permits, and I should not be getting those, but if I don't review and respond, then the permit doesn't get issued. So I think quite a bit of my time right now, I'm probably spending almost 2 hours a day on OpenGov, which I had not expected.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yes.
That feels like something that who's ever in charge of OpenGov is they should be dealing with that, because like if conservation is looking at wiring permits and being like, this is not our jurisdiction, someone either needs to be in charge of doing that for us, because that's a waste of the town's time, or someone set something up wrong.
Yeah. The problem is we don't really have any town staff who is overseeing this. We have a consultant who we can reach out to, but other departments are having similar problems.
Have you brought this to Jason's attention?
I did, and it's not something he can address. So I'm trying to work with the OpenGov. He's not an OpenGov expert. He's
no. He did a great job at marshaling it through.
Yeah, right, right.
So maybe, well, we need to find out who that is.
I know who it is, and I've been in contact with the OpenGov contact.
And is that, so that's an outside source?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They're sort of on call.
Can you work with both me and Deb on accounting for that extra time? And I want to get a letter off to the selectmen to make it clear that that's as well as Jason, since he had a hand in it, but definitely to the selectmen. We can CC Jason that that
My
this is
understanding is that Chris Costello is sort of the overarching
okay.
person responsible for it, and because he's sort of responsible for the finance department, he should be the person who
Okay.
gets
Well, then why don't we get
should
it?
get directed to.
We'll do SneakerNet, which is we'll go next door to Chris and tell him about it. But we'll
Yeah.
but also why don't we get a letter? I think it's if it's that excessive. I mean, that's 10 hours a week, 8 to 10 hours a week, depending on how you look at it. That's phenomenal. And let's take a look and see where we're at. Let's get this letter out within the next 2 weeks, and then at some point, let's let Chris know in a very nice way that we may not view that as part of our responsibility. And if permits don't get issued, then there will be other people joining that that request.
I would just suggest so 8 to 10 hours a week. If we do the letter in 2 weeks, that's $850 a week at 10 hours and 85.
Yeah.
That adds up super fast. Can we just email the selectmen right now? Like Cam's right here.
Well,
I can email them and be like, it's super.
Can I just step
Well,
in since,
let's get Janice take here.
so I don't want to overreact to this. I should be spending probably at least an hour to an hour and a half
per day
doing this. So it's not an overrun of 2 hours.
So that's
but,
the way it came
but
across.
I'm just saying all departments so my suggestion to our internal group, we meet fairly regularly, is that we need to have a group meeting to talk about OpenGov bugs and how to resolve it. I don't think sending something to the selectmen is going to resolve anything. I think we can resolve this internally because we're all having similar issues.
Okay.
So I don't want to overreact to this and cause, more. Yeah.
So
I think your assessment is right, Janet. I really do think that if it's a problem, then you should ask Chris Costello to set up a meeting to get these bugs resolved. And I think that's probably the quickest way to get action on it. And if there's a cost overrun, then tell him that it's likely going to be in his court to resolve and not in the Concom's court. And I'll support you on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Janet, so which then makes me, so in essence, potentially there's a net 2.5, 3 hours a week due to the inefficiency. Is that what you think?
That's part of it. It's also the applicants who are coming in are getting used to the system and so sometimes they'll send me a message in OpenGov. Sometimes I get an email message from someone else on the project. So it's a communication issue as well as working out the actual software bugs.
And that's a growing pain. What works for you? I've seen the email components come through because I get CC'd and I appreciate that. When somebody has a supervisor who's handling a project and they get in touch with you because they heard about something else, there. And then many times that's done because they haven't even opened a permit application up and so they're not on OpenGov. So do you foresee that going forward as being a mix regardless? And it's, if you don't have a permit in front of us, email seems appropriate.
That's right. So OpenGov is only for once you've actually submitted an application. But many times I'll get a message from an engineer working on the project as well as the contractor themselves. And so, it's just multiple communication strains, but that happens with emails as well. But I just wanted to bring it up to let you know that it's taking a little bit more time and effort up front now, but I think overall it really is a very useful tool. And it has a lot of applications, and a little bit further down the road, it would be useful for all commission members to be trained on it. So you can access permit files anytime you want. You can see the status of things and look at plans. You know, we won't have to send those out by email to everyone. If there's something's coming at a meeting, you can just go into OpenGov and look at all the documents. But you know, like with anything new, it takes a little time to get really comfortable.
So when you mentioned your baseline then is on OpenGov as an hour and a half per day, is that less or greater than what your baseline was prior to OpenGov relative to reviewing things?
It's probably a little bit higher, but it's just, you know, in a different context. So yeah, I mean, it's basic communication. I can review the files much easier because everything now is uploaded. I don't have to go searching for an attachment or not be open to an attachment. So it's not in addition to all my other work. The OpenGov works supplements or replaces a lot of the review time.
And so, because I'm part of it, number one, obviously, we haven't had have we had many submissions in the month that we weren't able to meet?
Let's see, we had 15 Old Farm Road. We've had some COCs come in. We've had some minor modifications come in. And then we have the new filings for our next meeting. We have 2 COCs and a new NOI. So those are all in OpenGov now.
Okay. So it's interesting because as I'm adding everything up and we're hitting that $150,000 threshold for, you know, coming up, and looking at 3 months where we don't have many submissions. Well, we don't have many deep submissions. We have a fair number of submissions for the things you just outlined there. I'm surprised that we didn't drop lower than $10,000. But then I went through your invoices and I'm familiar with the email trails of what has been going on back and forth and stuff. And so I'm just I'm still scratching my head at times when these sorts of things add up, and we're looking to address part of that by having enforcement orders handled by an outside reviewer. But something, if you could look into other areas, how we get engineers to tighten up their submissions, or things that can save time by some of the things that you've outlined in your budget request there. And one of the things I was talking to Deb about today was starting at least a spreadsheet and possibly an OpenGov thing as we move forward on enforcement actions, because we currently don't have a numbering system for enforcement actions. And so maybe we create an OpenGov form, but at the very least do it on a spreadsheet where we start with the year and the date of when we first hear of an enforcement action, or we first start to address one, not when we actually write it up, but when we first get notified of it.
That's a good idea.
So we get a better idea, because that is taking up a surprising amount of time that I think lay people in particular have no idea that that's becoming that much of an issue. So anything, Kim, anything you'd like to add relative to our going over budget and the like? I mean, it's not like we haven't warned you, but we're actually going a little bit beyond what we thought we were going to be at.
Yeah. No, I think that your approach sounds like the right thing to do, but I really would encourage you to short circuit in the sense that Anna suggested, to get those fixes done if there are bugs in the system, to get them addressed quickly. And he's certainly the man that should be doing that.
So Janet, with when you have your all department or your OpenGov meeting, it seems this is a situation of filtering for each department in terms of what they receive. Does that seem correct? That conservation doesn't need the plumbing and electrical permits. Is there a way that they can set some filters up so that we don't receive it?
Yes, there is. So there's a whole workflow, a permitting workflow, and we should have internal control over that. So that's something that we would discuss at this meeting. Yeah.
Okay, because I would think that's something where you need everyone to buy in. You can't have each department making up their own rules.
Right.
Okay, then why don't you can good luck on that in the next 2 weeks, and we'll hear back from you then. So with that, I'm going to go through the invoices that Janet submitted and get an independent vote on from commissioners on each of them. Janet, your first one was for February, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the invoice from Janet for February was $12,792.50. I'll entertain a motion and this was for I hope everyone has been able to review it, but it's very it addresses the same sort of items that we always get addressed here. And there are a fair number of inspections and so forth there. And I just wanted to call out the difference. So Janet breaks these down, and I'm saying this basically for Cam's elucidation there, is that she breaks things down for non-applicant expenses, which would be the typical things that would be a conservation would be doing, conservation agent would be doing, and then applicant expenses where she breaks things down multiple pages of almost like independent individual invoices for particular properties, and that way you see them, and it's very enlightening because you see there are a lot of $200 and $300 invoices, and they add up to $6,000, and that's just which also gives you an idea of the scope of the volume of work that's being done. So I'll repeat that number again, which is $12,792.50 for the month of February invoice. I'll entertain a motion to approve and pay that amount.
So moved.
Thank you. I was going to pull my Ferris Bueller thing.
I thought that Tim was the master of
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, my phone was ringing, so I turned my microphone off.
Oh, okay. Okay. So did I hear a second?
I'm seconding.
Thank you. All in favor? Anna?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Let's see. Let's move over to the March invoice, which is in the amount of, we're off by like $88. $12,622.50 for the March invoice. Do I hear a motion to accept and pay?
Move to accept and pay our agents consultants March invoice for $12,622.50.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Thank you. And then the last one, which is the most current, is April 2026 for $12,941.25.
Sure. Move to accept the invoice and pay the invoice for our agent
April
consultant for $12,941.25.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, so that with that combination there, that brings us up to 125,825 through April in terms of total dollars spent. We're looking at an additional, was that next to, Janet, was that roughly $24,000 on top of that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So that we'll be looking to, in order to cover expected invoices for these and these three plus the final two of the fiscal year, we would be looking for a departmental transfer amount of $62,500. Janet, those are the numbers that are in
Yes.
play here. Okay. So I would entertain a motion that we request a transfer in that amount from the town manager.
From the reserve fund.
Well, I'm not sure what it's called. Is it interdepartmental transfer, or Janet, do you or
No,
Deb?
it would be a reserve fund transfer.
A reserve? Okay.
Yeah, Mike might be able to find the money in a different source.
Mhm.
I know the health insurance premiums weren't as high through the year, and they have been funding some other cost overruns through that. But
Okay.
I think the original request would be for a reserve fund transfer from the warrant
Okay.
committee.
Okay. And so who do we request this from? Do we request this from town manager? Or do we request it from the
The
warrant?
warrant committee. The warrant committee appropriates from the reserve fund.
Okay. And then we would CC that to town manager, I would assume.
Yes, and I don't know if everyone had a chance to read my memo that I sent out on the 11th.
That was the multiple page justification.
Yes,
And when that went out the 11th, you said?
yes.
Let me just take a look. I know I know it because I knew how many pages it was, but let me just see. Oh, right, there we go. And did anyone else have a chance to review that?
Yeah, I sent a couple very minor comments.
Okay, so and do you want to so it's a 4-page memo looking for 62,500. The justifications were things that we've discussed, several times prior to this. Anna, what was your additions to that or comments?
There was an extra page at the end that I thought we might want to say. There was a section that said the increase in funding will reduce needs for reserve fund transfer in the future. I think we probably should say should, because we don't know if someone is going to clear cut a ton of acres and then Janet's going to be stuck dealing with it. But that might be overly legalistic. And then maybe we should include a couple examples if it's easy to do. Just because I'm not sure people realize how complicated these reviews are. So some of our more complicated projects that Janet has worked on lately, just talk a little bit about them. But
I could see.
I don't think that's worth holding anything for.
Yeah, I think I would rather get this in play, but we could send that as supporting documentation, afterwards.
That sounds good. I just was thinking warrant might like it to be kind of concrete about what exactly it is we're doing other than reviewing permits and enforcement, but I also don't think it's worth holding up for.
No, I think what we could do, and I think we did this last year, I think we sent several months worth, and I don't recall if they went to the selectmen or if they went to warrant. We sent several months worth of invoices. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Cam. You're muted, Cam. So it looked like something really important, but
No, they typically go to the warrant committee, and if it approves it, then the town manager deals with it. It doesn't need to go to the selectmen.
So why don't we, but should we go ahead and CC selectmen and town management, or should we just let warrant disseminate it once they receive it?
I would send it to warrant CC Mike Blanchard.
Okay. So why don't we, and yet I think, Anna, that's a very good point. I think let's Janet, can you just keep us on the ball prior to the next meeting. I think we want to add that as a supplement, but we'd like to get this request out within the week.
Okay, and I
okay.
missed your reference to, what were you referring to? The addition of something?
Oh, so for example, I think we want Deb to just get, interesting point. We want Deb to basically draft a letter that goes out to the warrant committee, looking, outlining or referencing tonight's vote, that our expected shortfall of 62,500 should be. We were requesting that to as a reserve fund transfer, as we have in previous years, and the draft memorandum, before she sends that out, we should probably, I'm trying to think if we can review that. So I know you've been waiting because you haven't submitted this because of everything else that we were dealing with, and because we didn't have the money. The draft memorandum looks pretty clean because it's items that we've discussed before, other than and it was your concern was necessary to ensure that the commission can continue. Should we be putting should be necessary?
Let me.
That was under the conclusion, or I don't know what you were referencing, and you were concerned about.
Yeah, it was a title. Oh, it was a header, FY27 increase in professional services budget. It was on the last page.
Okay. Right.
2026 town meeting will avoid it. I was saying maybe we should say should.
As a header, interesting.
Should not be needed. Is that what you want to change?
What's it should? Yeah.
Will not be needed or should not be needed.
Yeah, basically.
I was thinking should not, but
yeah, I think should not is better.
Should so how
leaves an avenue open.
So the approved. So an increase in professional services approved by warrant committee and town meeting should be. If it should be, or I'm not clear how that works.
No, it before the sentence before conclusion, the conclusion header. The very end.
Okay. I see.
Such expenses will not be needed. It should, and I think Anne is saying it should not be needed.
Yeah, the whole header would go something like full FY27 increase in professional services budget approved by warrant committee and 2026 town meeting. Should avoid a need for future reserve fund transfers in future years.
And
kind of a long header.
And the last sentence, will should also be changed to should.
Yeah, it's just, if we get another 12 and 14 Miller Hill, we're probably gonna have a very different problem.
Well, I think as I mentioned at the town meeting, and as have mentioned before, one of the things at the town meeting I mentioned was we're at that pivot point. So at 120. Without benefits, we're covering things.
Sure.
At 150, if that becomes a habit, then we really have to be looking at that.
Right. I don't debate the funding there issue, but it's like if someone woke up and I don't know, clear cut a chunk of wildwoods, we wouldn't be hiring someone that moment.
Oh no, well, but then Paul McManus, because now in order to try to avoid those things, we'd be hiring Paul McManus.
Yeah, and so maybe we'll be good.
So I think, okay. So Deb, have you been following those small wording choices there?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Okay, then why don't we go ahead and what we want to do, and we can talk about this early next week to get this out. We'll just wordsmith up a reference to the vote and a request to the warrant committee, and we'll incorporate the Janet's reserve fund transfer memo as a portion, as a part of that. And for the administrative powers that be. Cam, do you think that is the right track?
Yes, it's just a request for a reserve fund transfer from the warrant committee. And that will then go through the process. It'll automatically then be handled by Mike Blanchard. And if he needs to get approval from the selectmen, he'll do that. And you don't need to ask him to do it.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, because obviously we take our fiscal responsibility very seriously.
Mhm.
And and again, that's what was voted on the town meeting, was to avoid this in the future. So, although if we have a year like this last year, then we're going to surpass the 122 that was voted on at the meeting. So we have to, hence the idea of looking at how we handle some of these, I don't want to call them time wasters, time heavily involved, time concerns.
Time sinks.
Let's jump that
Time
bridge
sinks.
when we
Here
come
go.
to
Time
it.
sinks. Right.
Yeah,
And
time
so-
sync sounds fair.
Yeah, let's see if we can, if we can handle this with a little more rigor if we can. My sense is more rigor with the engineers who don't properly submit things, and still maintain the customer service component when we're dealing directly with homeowners. Okay, then did we want to finish up that? Tim, do we want to redo our vote on that, or our submit our motion? Did we vote on it? I don't think we got there.
I think I can manage that.
Russell up something?
Just, yeah. How about move to approve the request for the transfer of 62,500? Is that the right number?
Yeah, actually, why don't we call it a reserve fund transfer?
Yeah,
So
the reserve fund, from the reserve fund to cover the expenses, our consultant expenses.
So and you mentioned 62,500?
Yep.
Through the end of this fiscal year.
Through the end of this fiscal year.
Okay.
Second.
So thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Thank you. Let's see. Then on the agenda, it looks like Janet has seen that Tim and I our terms are expiring. And so she made the assumption that we actually want to continue.
We are not expiring.
What's that?
We are not expiring, but our terms
Right. Our terms are. So the I don't know. What do you say, Tim?
Yes.
Okay. Regardless of what my wife says, I'm going to say yes. So I'll entertain a motion from somebody other than Tim to.
I move to have John Sullivan and Tim Hollander do another 3 years.
Reappointed.
Reappoint.
For a
John
3-year
Sullivan.
term.
Okay.
This is why we need Tim. He's great at our motions.
Exactly.
Okay, and with
This
some,
is second.
okay, there we go. That's so we did it appropriately. Gish.
Expiring when? Expiring.
Okay. What's that, Deb?
Expiring when? What's the date?
Oh, I don't know.
2029?
June 30th.
June
Okay.
30th, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
I'm an aye.
Aye.
Okay, Anna's an
I'm
aye.
an aye. John,
Okay.
I guess you guys can't vote. So
Yes,
well,
I
no,
can,
I'm
I can
I'm
vote for John.
Yeah,
and
and
I'm
we
an
need
aye
that
for
for
Tim.
quorum.
And I'm an aye for Tim.
okay,
So, okay.
great.
Boy, Tim, you got to make it to 40.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It's interesting, Tim, when I've been going on, we doing the files and getting them in new places. I've seen your name many, many times.
I've been on the commission. as a full member since '94, I think.
Wow,
Good for you.
that's impressive.
Yeah. So that's right, because I remember you were pretty new when I came in with my first house,
Yes.
crossing the stream.
Mhm.
So okay. Then that brings us up to Janet's agents report.
Yes, so I'll try to make this quick. Let's see, a couple updates. The large equestrian property at 1519 Strawberry Hill, that property was sold recently. They're making some minor changes. I've been spending quite a bit of time. You'll recall that is a very large property with a stream running through the middle of it. They are getting their erosion control up. They're demoing some buildings. So I will be monitoring that very closely. They are hoping that someone in town will take the antique home and the old schoolhouse off-site. But if not, that will be a demo, unfortunately. And they will be coming back in with a new NOI for that work.
Do they have to wait a year for that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. They were going before the historical commission, and I think
They did, and at least in the ZBA filing, it said that the historical commission had deemed the schoolhouse and the main house to be of historical value, which means they have to wait for a year, I believe.
Okay.
They did put up their erosion control onto DLCT land, and I have met them, so I just let Chris Olson know, and she was right on top of her people, and they moved it back onto their land.
So is Krista the new owner?
Yes, it's Rob Small and Chris Olson, Christine. And so that's, and I'm gonna, as DLCT, I'm gonna be walking some of it and talking with her about making sure that our right of way, our maintenance and forestry right of way is not fenced in, and if she wants to put fences there, then, or whatever, that we renegotiate our right of way, or we can't afford to get rid of it. The thing that I noticed that's different about her plans, Janet will probably have already noticed this as well, is that they plan to fence in the front wet pasture, and Alex didn't have any plans to do anything in that area. So obviously Janet's gonna need to get involved in that.
Okay.
Or keep an eye on that, Janet, because
So was that the Blake property,
fences
or is
are
that
structures. It is the
that
Blake
it
house.
is, okay. Yeah, the house. Okay.
It was Alex Leventhal, and now it's
those parties that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I probably shouldn't have used their names because they don't really want it out there.
Okay. Well, say no more. Yeah, right. Okay, and Janet, continue.
And
please.
just a heads up on two situations that have developed that'll be coming before us at the next meeting. One is at 34 Haven Street. That was a very old enforcement order back from 2018. They removed some trees and had to do some restoration that apparently never happened. That was before I became agent. But they're coming back in for potentially an RDA and to address that enforcement order at our next meeting. So just a heads up on that. Also, 139 Center Street. The owners are concerned about the trail that runs on a portion of their property. There's a CR that permits that trail access. They're going to come in. They would like to at their cost relocate the trail so it's further from their property.
It's not.
So-
It's not a. It's not a CR. It's a deed restriction, I think.
139, who was that?
Although
Amy?
it's sort of. It's the new house.
Which
That's
the
way back.
Corrigan house?
No,
No.
it's the one where they said they weren't gonna clear anything and they cleared everything and put a huge solar array back there.
Don't know.
It's right. It abuts Wild Woods.
Oh, I know
There-
exactly.
It's
So
actually the trail is one of the trails is a trail easement.
yes,
It's a separate document than the conservation restriction, which is an odd conservation. It's a conservation restriction that only keeps the property from being subdivided.
so it's basically if you're going from the Hunt Club and you're going up and you're headed toward Wild Woods, it's the big house that's on the right now.
It has no, you can't see the house. It's way back. It was where that little barn was, and now it's
Right.
got a big driveway.
So I'm talking about if I'm on horseback. and I'm
Oh, you're on horseback. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you could actually see the house.
I can see the
haven't seen the house
exactly.
yet.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So
Got it.
again, just a heads up, they're going to be coming before you for simply a discussion to start a dialogue about perhaps what can be
Okay.
done back there.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's see. I sent you an update on the Chestnut Street Bridge monitoring and testing work. That is, there still is a sheen that's being determined. So that's really an ongoing monitoring and enforcement under that enforcement order. And Paul's taking the lead on that, but nothing new. But I just wanted to make sure you see the updates. And then the Porter CR, which is a DLCT property, and we are the CR holder. That has now been resurrected. You all got a copy of the current draft from town council. And Amy, is that ready to come before us at the next meeting?
I don't know. They were going, but I haven't. Gil Mena is working with Jillian on it. And there was still one question from the state that they were trying to respond to, because we have to go back and get the state to pre-approve it before it would come back to us.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
For
that's
the
step.
same for the confirmation that like we just did with the trustees and Hale.
Right. Okay, so that step hasn't happened
And
yet. Okay.
The one step has happened, which is that the DLCT trustees just voted last night so that Gil or Tom French will be signing the CR for DLCT, and I will recuse myself from the vote, the Concom vote, but my name will still be on it as a commissioner. So Nina felt it would be better if I didn't sign, because then it would look like I was on both sides of the transaction, which of course I am, but I wasn't actually, because I had nothing to do with
Technically not.
DLCT.
Nina says you're not, it counts.
Yeah. I mean, I donated to the Porter, but I didn't.
Right. You were just a member of the DLCT. You weren't.
I was not right. I was just a member of the public, not
Right.
not a trustee, and we actually have to also do the Pine Street church lot, wood lot CR. But the draft that was originally given to us was way too much Blake CR unedited. So I'm gonna
Okay.
edit it before I
Okay.
before, and I'm also gonna check out whether or not there's a new model CR, because I think there is.
Thank you.
So that'll be coming, but that'll be the slow walk, probably in the fall.
Okay.
I had also sent out, we had a residence request at 37 Knollwood Drive. There's a perennial stream behind the property. There's been some, she said trees have fallen down, and they wanted permission to clean them up. I was out there today, and there's been some substantial tree cutting. So I am going to schedule an appointment to meet the owner out there and really walk the stream with her and get a little more information. So this could be an enforcement situation.
Where is that again,
that's-
Janet?
37 Knollwood.
I think that stream is also fairly important. It's the beginning of one of the trout brooks or something. So I think we should just keep an eye on if that affected shade, and does that matter, and is there jurisdiction about any of that?
Let's see. I also have gotten some calls from residents regarding, so you may recall at town meeting when the fuel station, the DPW fuel station was discussed, there were some photos showing salt not being contained in the salt shed. And I've gotten some calls from a couple residents as to what was allowed. So we did permit, that was a permitted project. So I'm going to go through the file. There was an operations and maintenance component of that permit, which strictly prohibited any salt outside of the salt shed. So I will follow up with Kevin McCabe, the DPW director, and it might be worth having him come in and just explain the operations to us.
And I'll talk to you, in the next couple of days about that. But I think it was kind of damning for those pictures to show up at a point when we're being assured that any sort of fuel spill would be adequately taken care of. And yet the amount of salt that was on the ground from something that we had approved was pretty surprising, because I think it bears our taking a look at what one of the neighbors had also brought up relative to things dying off in the wetland there. I don't know, sometimes things just die off in wetlands, as we see along Springdale, but it brought attention. It did not show very well for DPW to have that much salt sitting on the ground, around catch basins there. And it raised a concern that if that's the way, somebody mentioned the amount of traffic, the competing traffic that's down at that end of the highway department. People, you imagine a winter where there are multiple trucks going in to get salt because of impending or current storms. At the same time, both they and the fire department and police cars and so forth also need to get fuel while these things are going back and forth. It's a very congested area. And if they can't control their salt, it was outside, the salt was within our buffer. The fuel station is outside of it. The question I have, Janet, is, do we have any, we consulted with them, but do we have any oversight out, prior to anything happening, to where we have any more say than what we already had on that?
No, that's a bright line. If you are outside the 100-foot buffer, then we virtually have no authority.
So because yeah, people brought it to my attention, and Janet brought it to my during the meeting. You know, several. It was mentioned that all these boards had signed off on this, including conservation, and we didn't sign off on it because it wasn't under our jurisdiction.
I think we voted that it wasn't under our jurisdiction, unless I'm
Oh
totally
yeah,
wrong.
no, it was clear. It was, it was outside, but it was a courtesy for planning board to bring it to bring it in highway department to ask for our input, which we gave. It was then presented as if we had signed off on it.
My
But we didn't.
apologies for that, John. I think I might have actually said that, and I apologize. I understood that it was part of your standard process. So
Yeah.
that's one reason why I'm coming to these meetings, so I get a much better understanding of how it all hangs
Well,
together. So I apologize for that.
Given the way that meeting was going, I had several text requests to stand up and say that we didn't vote in favor of it. And I decided not to do that because it really wasn't going to make a difference, but it would certainly open up the leading question, which would be, well, are you? And we hadn't voted. We hadn't even determined anything on that basis. So, but if
But
people,
some changes were made in the light of your suggestions.
oh no, absolutely. So
And that was the actual critical point.
Yeah.
But I apologize for suggesting that the committee actually agreed to them.
No, and I appreciate your apology. And it was just an easy thing. Words sometimes have different meaning to different people.
Right.
So, but it was voiced as you're hearing. Several of us have gotten feedback of that salt was everywhere. And if that salt is everywhere, a bunch of people in a hurry trying to fuel trucks and things of that nature, while payloaders are loading up other trucks with salt, and obviously it struck a chord with many people at the meeting there. So we may have to do this again. Who knows? I'm sure we'll hear about it. So Janet, anything else?
So tomorrow MACC is sponsoring a program. I had sent out the information on this and how to register an environmental law update. If you're free at 12 o'clock tomorrow, I will resend that tonight as a reminder. Charles River Watershed reached out and wants to involve us in a water chestnut invasive species removal effort on May 30th. I'll send more information out on that. And then on the 28th, we're invited to give a talk of the town to the Council on Aging. So several of you said you are hoping to be able to attend. So that is on Thursday, May 28th at 1 o'clock at the community center. I'm going to have some maps of our open space and our wetlands. And I think from what I'm told, it's sort of an open discussion to answer questions. So nothing super formal, but it should be a nice time just to interact with some seniors.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Sounds great.
And that's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else have anything they want to bring up before we adjourn?
No, again, I just want to say, John, I thought you did a great job. Anna, I thought you did a great job with just the sustainability.
Thanks, we're super excited.
And
well, that was the breath of fresh air in between other more contentious
right.
things. It was
and I think Rick and Tara did the presentation on open space. I thought that was fantastic. So
yeah, Tara's was the best presentation we had.
Blah
blah blah. It's midnight. I want to go home.
I want to go home. And right, exactly. It was great.
If you vote it down, we'll be back to bug you again next year.
Right. It was fantastic. So I just want to thank you all. It was interesting. I told John and I and Amy were on another event earlier this evening, and I got there early and I just kind of sat up on the top part, and I just kept seeing all you guys going down and down. And I thought, well, should I go down? But then I was like, no, I'm just going to sit here. And I just sat by myself. So it was just very interesting. But I can tell you as soon as the conservation, the warrant came up, the people behind me were like, oh, conservation. like I was hearing so many negative things, and I don't know how we can turn. And it wasn't just about conservation, but it just was like, and I didn't want to keep turning back because I didn't want to like see who it was. But it's interesting. I think that these people that come to these meetings and have so many negative things to say, then they should start joining these committees and being part of the solution and not the problem. And I don't.
It's so much easier just to complain.
It is.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness,
yeah.
people behind me. It was like, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, no, and
You
I
learn what a
mean,
negative RDA is.
I think well, I think we've been doing a pretty decent job, over the last couple of years of educating people, even people who haven't been in front of us. Although the guy who put the hold on us, I didn't have enough time to ask him if he wanted to join us.
Right,
But,
right. I know.
so,
Do we know who? I don't even know who that is.
no, I have no idea. And and yet at the same time, it was perfectly within his rights to, see a jump and go, what's going on? So
Right.
it gave us an opportunity to be up in front of everybody rather than just the few stalwarts who go to warrant committee meetings and give them an idea of what it is we're faced with. And I have to say, did see a number of heads sort of nodding as they see. You could see it as I continued. They were getting it, I think. So
Yeah, no, they were, and you did a
so
great
we'll-
job. It was
so we'll
completely on the spot.
we'll figure out other outreach things, and this one coming up with the senior center, which I have to say, my wife has been availing herself of, quite a bit, and it is a really popular center. There's so many things going on, and we keep running into not just seniors, but all sorts of people taking advantage of it, and that creates a commons that has an ability to discuss among themselves as well. So I think us being there for an educational component is something we probably want to schedule on a regular basis. So okay, hearing nothing further, tonight's meeting is adjourned. Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.